This is Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
And welcome, everybody, to Kentucky's Voice, your homegrown Christian conservative talk radio show covering important issues affecting our local community, our state, and, yes, our nation. I'm your host today, Bob Scott. It's Tuesday, April 1st, and I'm not fooling around. We would absolutely love to hear from you today. Feel free to give us a call. Our phone number is 502-571-0970. Again, that phone number is 502-571-0970. I want to start the show off with some late-breaking news. Elon Musk says that someone through the efforts of Doge is about to be arrested for stealing 400,000 Social Security accounts and using them for fraudulent purposes. I have this clip from Elon. Gary, please play the clip.
I believe someone is going to be arrested tomorrow. This is someone who actually stole 400,000 Social Security numbers and personal information from the Social Security database, and was selling Social Security numbers and all the identification information in order for people to basically steal money from Social Security. And this is like, by the way, a particular avenue of fraud for like illegal immigrants and for voter fraud, because the main way that identification is established in the United States is via Social Security. So if you compromise the Social Security system, you can basically get people to get de facto registered to vote, even if they're not citizens, and to get a bunch of benefits and to milk the system. It's pretty insane. Like the Democrats basically taken every part of the government that could possibly be bent towards providing financial incentives for illegal immigrants to come to and remain in the United States, whether it's the Social Security, disability, Medicare, unemployment, even like IRS refunds without any income. It's wild. The diverted FEMA funds, which is supposed to be for helping Americans in distress from natural disasters, to pay for luxury hotels in New York for illegals to stay there. In fact, they're still there. Those hotels are still active.
And I said it time and time again, folks, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that's getting ready to come out and will be coming out over the next several months. So stay tuned. Kentucky's Voice will be trying our best to keep you up to date on everything that's breaking. We have got a powerhouse guest today joining us for the full hour. Kentucky State Senator Lindsey Tichenor, representing District 6 that covers Oldham, Trimble, and part of Jefferson counties. Senator Tichenor, who has been a guest on this program several times, is a former missionary, a fierce defender of our faith and freedoms, and a true conservative warrior in Frankfort. She's fresh off a legislative session where she championed bills like Senate Bill 181, SJR, and a Senate resolution, Joint Resolution 55, and the Doge provisions to protect our values and streamline government. Plus, she's got some thoughts on the wild incident at the state capitol involving Representative Bill Wesley, who was on our show just yesterday in a confrontation that, I guess you could call it a restroom gate or a transgate, depending on how you want to look at it, that happened yesterday, and how it's tied to Governor Beshear's latest liberal stunt. Folks, this is going to be an absolute packed hour. We've got 4 segments lined up. So grab your coffee, turn up the volume, and let's dive in. Senator Tichenor, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on again.
Well, it's always an honor, Senator Tichenor. You do such a great job for standing up for conservative Christian values in Frankfort. You just wrapped up this year's general session in which several pieces of legislation was passed in a very short time. I'm always amazed by that this was a short year, which simply meant that there were only literally 30 business days that we had, being that it's an odd number year, even number year, it's 60. As we just heard, Elon Musk and Doge are uncovering underline the word major fraud and waste in our government. So incredibly shocking. I know that you are leading the charge for a similar Kentucky Doge effort. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I filed a bill. It was Senate Bill 257 that would have opened up in our auditor's office, which I think is a quite appropriate place for it to be, a a Kentucky Office of Government Efficiency. Unfortunately, the measure didn't go through. What we were able to do, and it ended up being added on to one of our wonderful Christmas tree bills as an ornament in House Floor Amendment 3 to start beginning the process of getting information from our agencies on what areas they can be efficient in and what ways they can cut spending. But really, the effort is kind of geared towards what can we look at and get into, like, at the federal level, they have a lot more resources, and there's a lot of fraud and waste and abuse within our federal government. And our Kentucky General Assembly has been working hard since we took on the supermajority to be able to address a lot of these issues. And they've done a great job. We just created a Medicaid oversight board with one of our pieces of legislation in that same vein. But looking at, let's take a concerted effort. Let's put some people in the auditor's office, create these positions in this office where they can go after stuff very specifically. And unfortunately, it didn't work. And again, a 30-day session, this was a big ask. So I will keep working on that, and we'll see how that develops. I've been in some talks with people about how we can continue to move that effort forward, and hopefully we'll see something come about in the next session.
And you said before, the government overreach, like we saw in COVID, is what literally lit a fire under you to run for office. How does Doge and the other things that are going on, and that you all are doing, as you mentioned, there is a supermajority right now in Frankfort. How does this look at restoring power to we the people?
It's just all about transparency and accountability. And if we don't have anything in place, we will watch the government just balloon and morph into these gigantic beasts that get to think they have the power to do whatever they want to do and use whatever funding they have available to them. And we cannot truly have control of our government if the people are pushed out and aren't given the information of what's really going on. So I think a Doge effort at the federal level and what will hopefully come at the state level is really just pulling back the curtain and saying, okay, this is what's going on. Now let's look and see what areas we need to address and fix. And some of it might just be just sheer inefficiency because an organization agency grows too large. Some of it could actually be fraud, like we're seeing with Social Security right now. But there's no reason we should cover this up and act like everything's okay. We need the people to be active and involved, so they need to be aware of what's going on behind that curtain.
Yeah, amen to that. I know that obviously what Elon Musk and his team are doing with Doge is opening a lot of people's eyes to the waste and fraud, and these are things that we obviously are hoping will trickle down to our state as well. It's time to take a break, and we'll be right back with Kentucky State Senator Lindsey Tichenor here on Kentucky's Voice. Stay tuned.
This world that we're living in may seem chaotic at times. It's good to have a team like ours that has never strayed away from its core values: God, family, and serving others. It's been this way since the beginning. I'm Lee Downing with AirServe.
When the time comes to making that important decision of buying or selling your home, why not hire the hardest working real estate agent? Hello, I'm Elizabeth Monarch with the Monarch Group, brokered by eXp Realty. I've been serving the Kentuckiana area as the hardest working agent for over 21 years. If you're thinking of buying or selling your home and not sure what to do in this unique market, you should call me. Maybe you have questions about preparing your home to sell. Many are wondering if this is the best time to invest in real estate. I would like to work hard for you and become your realtor. Relax and let me answer all of your questions and assist you in all of your real estate needs. Check out our listings and search for all homes online at monarchgroup.homes. Call me at 502-551-1286. That's 502-551-1286. Why not hire me, Elizabeth Monarch of the Monarch Group, the hardest working real estate agent you'll ever meet?
Cards fans, U of L's nationally ranked Innovation MBA can be completed in just 13 months, giving you the confidence and connections needed to spark your entrepreneurial spirit. Learn best practices from our award-winning faculty, serial entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and regional and national business leaders. Experience international business practices firsthand with our 10-day international trip or online global learning course. Start your journey today by visiting business.louisville.edu/U of L MBA.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 888-SHARE-19. That's 888-SHARE-19. 888-SHARE-19.
It's time for another Knob Creek Firearm Fun Fact from your friends at Knob Creek Gun Range. In The Wizard of Oz, you may remember a scene when they entered the haunted forest.
I'd turn back if I were you.
They're also carrying weapons, including the Scarecrow, who's wielding a shiny silver revolver. Don't believe it? Google it. At Knob Creek, you'll find more than just revolvers. And you know, at Knob Creek Gun Range, they believe a responsible gun owner is of value to society. Visit their beautiful showroom with a full inventory of handguns, rifles, shotguns, assault rifles, and gun-related supplies. And with a 350-yard outdoor range, Knob Creek can handle all your shooting needs. Shoot for just $12 a day, or shoot all year for $150, $250 for the family. Take easy to learn classes on concealed carry, practical defense, and hunter education. Knob Creek Gun Range, 690 Ritchie Lane. Online at knobcreekrange.com, where the Second Amendment comes first.
We are a team that believes in our shared core values: God, family, and service. From the office professional who answers the phone to our service tech who brings the HVAC solutions to your doorstep. Stay warm, stay comfortable, stay AirServe.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org. To be a part of the program, call or text your comment to 502-571-0970.
And welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. We're with Senator Lindsey Tichenor, breaking down her conservative wins in Frankfort. Senator, you've been a champion for parents and kids, and your resolution, SJR 55, just made it through. It's about fighting, I believe, anti-Semitism at our colleges. SJR 55 also directs universities to combat anti-Semitism. What's happening right now on Kentucky campuses that made this a priority for you?
Right. So this all happened really within days of October 7th in 2023, the attacks on Israel from Hamas, there was a movement from an organization called Students for Justice in Palestine, SJP, who have a presence on many of our campuses across the state. And they began sending out and activating, and it's actually was a national movement, but in Kentucky, they began activating within 5 days and had social media posts of a protest to push back on the supposed genocide in Palestine and Israel. And this is after 1,200 people were murdered and raped, and men, women, children, elderly, in that horrific attack. And we saw this uproar happen on a couple of our campuses in particular, and our Kentucky Israel Caucus group had just formed that session prior, and we began sitting down with campus presidents and just trying to get this under control. And we were really seeing some effort, but not an entire effort. So this really is in a response to that, to make sure, and the resolution very simply makes sure that Jewish students are aware of their civil rights and Kentucky law and any type of offense that they may have received, anti-Semitic action, how they can pursue some type of resolution and where they can report those. And there's a reporting requirement for our universities to report to our Council on Post-Secondary Education and then to the Legislative Research Commission so we can get a handle on this. But this is a response to what we saw happening across the nation. It was absolutely happening here in Kentucky, and it really hasn't been dealt with entirely. So this was a measure to get that taken care of.
Yeah, and it's still happening. I know with Tom Homan recently being involved with I believe, a student from Palestine at Columbia University that was leading, organizing these types of demonstrations. And a little bit more than just, freedom of speech. It's really, gone over to intimidation and violence. And I think that's what your concern is, as would be all of our concerns.
Absolutely. And, our Jewish students, our Jewish staff members on campuses and everywhere in the state have a right to live their life in peace. And, of course, people have First Amendment rights, and they cannot like who they don't want to like, but they cannot infringe upon those rights, and it lead to harassment and violence, and that's what we were seeing. And we have seen in other states, the SJP organization, I believe it was in Florida, they were able to find a direct link to Hamas, which is a designated terrorist organization. So if we find those links within our state, they will have to be kicked off of our campuses and not be allowed to exist as a student organization.
Among your many talents, we mentioned that you were a missionary and you are involved in real estate. I believe you also were a teacher and have done some teaching as well. And you've been really leading the forefront as far as pushing for transparency in schools. Do you feel parents are losing their voices to woke agendas, and how are you fighting that? And as a Christian, how important is it for you to protect our kids' education from radical ideologies?
Yeah, man, that's a loaded question.
In more ways than one, that's right.
I think parents are gaining it back. I think we've lost it. There was such a push from the federal level, and now as we're seeing the U.S. Department of Education be dismantled, we're going to see a lot of that control come back to the local level. They had over $100 million in DEI contracts given out to our states and our education system. So it was absolutely being rammed down our throat, this agenda. And now with that pulling back, we're going to see it return to the local level. And, every district is different, and some parents are actively involved and they have a great experience with their kids. Some districts, they fight you tooth and nail. If you want transparency, you have to bend over backwards to get any information from an open records request. It shouldn't be that hard. It should just be given to parents, but they have to go through the legal process to get it through open records. And, that's unfortunate, but I think we are seeing such a great uprising of parental involvement that we're seeing a shift happen. And again, there are some schools that are just rocking it and doing awesome, and the parents and teachers just involved, and it's a great experience. And then there's others that really aren't wanting to be held accountable or transparent in what's going on in their schools. And that's where we try to target and push a lot of different legislation to focus on the ones that are not behaving and in the best interest of families and their communities.
Yeah, and there's not much arguing that the Department of Education, since its inception back in the waning years of the Carter administration, has been an abject failure on every count that you look at. And we went from having one of the best educational systems in the world to, depending on what you look at, we're near the bottom of the barrel as far as industrialized nations are concerned, and this is something that we all need to be concerned about. And so you do feel that by dismantling that and putting the control back in the state, it's going to be a good thing.
And you really have to focus on, like, what is the purpose of our education system? It's to educate kids, right, in the basic things. And we're seeing kids graduate who can't write, who can't read well, or at
that
their
amazes me.
Level.
Yes,
It's amazing. And even last session when I passed the cursive bill to bring cursive back, the system fought that. They fought that, and they said, we don't have time in the day.
Oh, boy.
Like, wait a second. You take an hour out of your day. Most schools do. They take an hour out of their day for social emotional learning, which is really just an arm of DEI. And so, like, okay, let's pull that back, and let's actually teach our kids how to write. How about we do that?
Yes.
Seems like a very
How
basic
about
request.
that? Another bill that you championed and got passed was Senate Bill 181 that focuses on electronic communication outside of school, like texting or messaging on social media. Tell us a little bit about that. We got about two and a half minutes to go in this segment.
Okay, great. We may run over. This was such an important bill, and it came about. Yeah, it came about last year. I heard of a story, and I get emails all the time from parents who have dealt with some issue of inappropriate contact from a staff member volunteer at a school and their students, and they're connecting through this electronic, everybody's got a phone in their hands, and everybody's got phones in the schools, and on social media, they're friends with each other. And you rewind when we were growing up, no one would have, it would just have been crazy if a teacher...
Well, it was non-existent when I grew up, I'll put it that way.
Right. It's just like, I didn't even know if my teachers were married or what their first name was. There was such a proper boundary between that authority role, and it's totally been washed away with technology. So there was a case out of Anderson County where a counselor thought a child was being mistreated because her parents didn't accept her LGBTQ stance, and so that counselor took it upon herself, had 200 different text messages with this student, coerced her how to get CPS involved, recorded her family, and tried to cause a fight to make it look like she was being mentally abused. A CPS report was filed. This family just was taken through the ringer for no reason. And truly, this counselor should not have ever had access to communicate with that student outside of that school building. And it really, that case, along with other cases I've just continually hear about, even in my district, every district, unfortunately, has issues with this. That's what inspired this legislation, and I worked on it last session. I'm just thrilled we were able to get it through this session.
And folks, that's Common Sense Conservatism at Work. Coming up, we've got a hot topic we want to discuss with Senator Tichenor, the restroom incident at the Capitol that occurred last Thursday with Representative Bill Wesley. Stay tuned.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Attorney General Bondi says she has directed federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty against Luigi Mangione, accused of gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson outside a Manhattan hotel in December. Voters in Florida today deciding 2 congressional races, while in Wisconsin, a lot of money has been poured into a state Supreme Court race. That contest has national implications. It could determine the fate of President Trump's agenda. This week, the Senate taking a closer look at judicial activism. The Trump agenda will advance tomorrow when the president imposes reciprocal tariffs on American trading partners, charging them the amount they levy on us. Nearly 24 states taking the Trump administration to court regarding its decision to rescind billions of dollars in health funding. On Wall Street, stocks now positive. The Dow is up 97 points, and this is SRN News.
Charlie Kirk here. I've been thinking, why does it feel like losing weight is harder than ever before? Mixed messages, fad diets, and quick fix solutions. Many people are left stuck and exhausted trying to fight a battle they can't seem to win. If you feel this way, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. But let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and delaying action only makes it harder. I took a step 2 years ago and called PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition and lost 40 pounds. I feel great and have kept it off. If you are ready to make a change for life, call 855-696-2020. That is 855-696-2020 to schedule your weight loss consultation. The first 11 callers who mention healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Call 855-696-2020 and mention the word healthy. Visit them at myphdweightloss.com. That is myphdweightloss.com. It works, everybody. Check it out at myphdweightloss.
Hello, Kentuckiana. Tom Fallbush with your local Window World. Spring is here, and I would like to invite you to open your home to the spring fresh air with new Window World fully functioning, energy-efficient windows, entry doors, and adjustable storm doors. You can enjoy feeling the fresh spring breeze circulating in your home after this cold winter season and have the security and efficiency that Window World products bring to your home. Get 10 white double-hung windows installed for just $59.50. Financing is available for qualified applicants, and you may apply online at windowworldkentuckiana.com or call 502-671-7777 to schedule an appointment. For your home exterior, we are excited to offer new composite siding from Ascend and Everlast. Our number is 502-671-7777. Online, windowworldkentuckiana.com. Christian and veteran owned and operated. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
For swing into the action at Park Mammoth Golf Club, a breathtaking and challenging course just off I-65 in Park City, Kentucky. Stay in the know with the Park Mammoth Golf Club app. Get course updates, special offers, GPS, gift cards, and easy tee time bookings. After your round, unwind at the Mammoth Grill, where delicious food meets stunning course views in our brand new clubhouse. Visit parkmammothgolfclub.com and experience the best in golf today.
We'll see a mix of sun and clouds today with highs in the upper 50s and the low 60s. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy, wind gusts near 45 miles per hour, highs in the low 80s before we deal with some strong to severe thunderstorms moving in for Wednesday night into Thursday morning. From the Wave News Storm Tracking Team, I'm meteorologist Tawana Andrews.
This is Nathan, General Manager at your local AirServe. Call us now, or if it's working, call AirServe for a free peace of mind safety inspection and tune-up for only $69. Stay comfortable, stay AirServe.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org. To be a part of the program, call or text your comment to 502-571-0970.
And welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. Kentucky State Senator Lindsey Tichenor is with us today, and we're diving into his story that's unfortunately got Kentucky and our nation buzzing. Say unfortunately, it might be actually a good thing. Yesterday, Representative Bill Wesley was on my show, and he told us about confronting a 6'6" biological man who was wearing a see-through white dress with a thong. I'll say it again, a see-through white dress with a thong. It is comical, but at the same time, it's not. Who walked into the women's restroom at the state capitol. This guy was there for an LGBTQ rally and invited by Governor Beshear. Two troopers did back up Wesley after apparently a mom and her daughters asked for help with regard to what's this big, huge guy doing in our restroom facility. And the story gets better, folks. Also, two of let's just say liberal colleagues from the Senate of of Senator Tichenor, Karen Berg and Keturah Herron, who are both from Louisville, went over to the House floor, uninvited, and confronted Representative Wesley, with Senator Berg actually giving Bill Wesley a punch to the shoulder. Now, she did, I guess, in her defense, if you want to call it that, later attempted to apologize to Bill, but it was obviously something that she was coerced into doing because, by Senate leadership, because she clearly, Lindsey, clearly overstepped her bounds, and what she did was inappropriate on every level, But isn't this something that we're seeing going on by the far left? If they can't get their way, or if they don't like the outcome of a situation, albeit this violence, and that's what it was. It was a violent action, but it was, Bill's a big guy himself, and a former Marine. It wasn't something that candidly he pretty much shrugged off. But still, that whole picture, that whole scenario, cannot happen in any legislative body, and I'm hoping that there's some form of reprimand that happens. I haven't heard anything if the House or the Senate's going to do anything, but something needs to happen. What's your take on this, and your thoughts also about how far Beshear's willing to go to push his liberal agenda?
Yeah, man, you would think after the November election he would pick up on the fact that the American people are not okay with this nonsense that we've been dealing with over the last several years. As far as the House, the House took appropriate action and banned her indefinitely. She can never come back to the House chambers, which I think is fine.
Okay, that's good. I did not know that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. The Senate, on the other hand, because the action, the incident didn't happen in our chambers, it's really not in our authority. There has been some talks about a possible censure of her, which would happen among our members, but we would have to be in session. And this happened the day before our final day. So just, coming up with a solution to that. And this isn't the first time, unfortunately, that we've had to deal with some nonsense from Senator Berg. And, it's this whole movement, this whole push, for me as a female, as a mother, it is just maddening to me. It makes my blood pressure go up so high. And I think, right when I heard about it, I had no idea that there were children inside the bathroom. I also had no idea he was wearing a thong. At the time when I heard about it, I just knew Bill Wesley had what I thought stopped him from going in. And unfortunately, he was already in. But I was so proud to hear a man standing up for us. I mean, truly, what an act of chivalry, because we've seen so many people just cower away from this issue, and men are not sure what to do, and some women aren't sure what to do. And this is truly an overstepping of what it is to be a female, and just to step all over like that, like anybody can choose that and anybody can make it what they want to make it, is so offensive to me. And not only does it potentially put us in danger having a huge man in our restroom, it is so inappropriate to think he can just walk around in a thong in our state capitol and it's no big deal. And flip that around. If a female had walked into the building like that, they would have kicked her out. Why do we tolerate this nonsense? And it makes me think about, I have to go back, the last 2 years, I filed a bill that would have prevented this with our drag shows, and, was not able to get that moving out of both chambers. And I'm very grateful our Senate passed it 2 years in a row. And I was kind of bummed this year. I decided not to file it because it just does take up so much time. I was hoping somebody in the House maybe would file it, since that's where it seems to get held up. And man, if I would have filed that bill, I would have slapped that on an amendment at the end of session and hopefully gotten it passed. But unfortunately weren't able to, but I will be pursuing that again next session.
Yeah, and I've already heard rumblings that Bill Wesley and I'm sure many of his colleagues are going to introduce a bill. There's a little bit of confusion because, and getting back to Bill Wesley, he told that man never to do it again, and and I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's nice to see a real man, that's willing to stand up for women and women's rights and decency. At the end of the day, and Bill, to know Bill Wesley is to love him. I mean, the guy is a big, lovable bear of a human being, and but he's also a pastor. I have never met a representative that truly cares about people, and specifically those people that he represents. And I know a righteous indignation rose up within him, and I guess that's the question. You were kind of addressing it a little bit, but should legislating restroom policies, should they be tougher to protect women and kids in public facilities? And and we were talking about how this relates to Senate Bill 150 that did pass in 2023 pretty overwhelmingly. What it does do, it bars someone of the opposite sex from using restrooms, locker rooms, or shower rooms that are reserved for students of a different biological sex. Now, again, we're talking in a school setting. Of course, our liberal governor tried to veto that bill. He did veto that bill, but was overridden by the legislature. And now it's time. I think this incident, I'll put it this way. I'll be watching very closely, as will a lot of folks from Kentucky's Voice. We'll be watching to see how the House responds to this, and like you say, you had the Senate was on board with getting specific legislation passed, but if there's a need for this, I think I can't think of any other situation where this happened right in the House where our legislation is passed, and I'm sorry, it's like a big middle, conservatives in this state that, and really to women in this state. And what is your thought?
It is. Well, it is, and it's been allowed to continue, which is why they have become bolder and bolder and bolder. And after last session, when my drag bill died, then that Saturday after session, there was a drag show in a school in my district, just again to give me that middle finger. But I wanted to bring up too. I filed a bill this session. I think it was Senate Bill 116, which was a women's Bill of Rights, and it put those definitions of biological male and female into our statutes, which we don't currently have right now. And I think we're going to need to do them because of incidents like this. But the other thing that it included, which I think is very important, and a lot of people don't think about, the way that vital statistics are reported and recorded, they need to be done. It would require them to be done by biological sex, because say an incident happened in that Capitol bathroom between that man who is pretending to be a woman and a woman. What if there was an altercation and assault? It could very well be reported as a female assaulted a female because this person's identifying as a female, as opposed to having a requirement by law that they have to be reported, the crime, the assault, whatever has to be reported by biological sex. So we have seen these incidents happen in other states where a man attacks a woman, but they say it's a woman, female on female violence, when that's obviously not what it truly was.
Absolutely. And Bill Wesley did talk about that yesterday, gave several examples. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on Kentucky's Voice with my special guest today, Senator Lindsey Tichenor.
It's called the 340B Hospital Markup Program. Hospitals mark up discounted drugs and pocket the difference, charging patients $5,000 for cancer drugs they bought for $500 and suing patients that can't pay. It's how big tax-exempt hospitals abuse the 340B program. If patients aren't benefiting, where's the money going? Learn more at 340bmarkup.org. Paid for by Pharma.
Need work on your heating or air conditioning? Go with Christian-owned and operated Divine Services. Serving Metro Louisville and the Tri-County area and servicing every make and model. Divine Services features Tempstar heating and cooling products to replace your old worn-out unit. Tempstar high-efficiency heating and cooling products. Quality you can feel. Online at DivineServicesLLC.com. Call Divine anytime at 502-712-1979. That's 712-1979.
Hey Cardinal fans, United Mechanical is thrilled to sponsor this season of Louisville Cardinals basketball on the Mike Rutherford Show. From HVAC to electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration, United Mechanical is your winning choice for reliable commercial and industrial services. Call 502-339-1133. That's 502-339-1133. Listen to the Mike Rutherford Show Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 on Big X Sports Radio 96.1 and 1450. Let's go Cards.
Tired of struggling with dentures, denture glue, or missing teeth? Well, Freedom Mini Dental Implants has the solution. Dr. Ackerman specializes in mini dental implants. These implants can remove missing teeth and completely remove traditional dentures altogether. Mini implants are less invasive than conventional restorative options and more permanent than dentures. Dr. Ackerman's located at 4906 Bardstown Road in Louisville. Call 502-937-4930. You can have your smile back with Freedom Mini Dental Implants online at freedomimplants.com.
In retirement, you finally get to do what you want to do, but you have to plan for it. Start by tuning in to Tim Riney of Family Wealth Strategies Saturday mornings at 7 and Sundays at noon for your total retirement plan. Learn how to make the most out of your retirement years. Tune in Saturday mornings at 7 and Sundays at noon for your total retirement plan with Tim Riney. Investment advisory services made available through A Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 888-SHARE-19. That's 888-SHARE-19. 888-SHARE-19.
Coming Good Friday, April 18th to Slugger Field, it's Easter over Louisville. Organized by 88.5 WJIE. With Kentucky's largest Easter egg hunt, live worship music with many local artists, a reenactment of the Easter story, and family-friendly activities, giveaways, and community booths. Join thousands of other families of believers April 18th at Slugger Field together in this one event, a powerful celebration of hope, unity, and faith. It's Easter over Louisville. Admission is free, but you do need to register at EasterOverLouisville.org.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org. To be a part of the program, call or text your comment to 502-571-0970.
And welcome back to the final segment of Kentucky's Voice. My special guest today has been Kentucky State Senator Lindsey Tichenor from District 6. It's always a pleasure and honor to have you on the program, Lindsey. We did get and I know you have something else you want to share with regard to the incident that happened last Thursday, but we did get from the text line, a person texted in and said, Senator Berg's grief for the loss of her son is erratic. Her resentment for others is extreme. Senator Berg needs to take time off and get therapy. And for those of you that aren't aware, sadly and unfortunately, Senator Berg did have a trans son who identified as a woman, did sadly take his own life. And on any parent, I would never wish that. And that obviously has to be something that's playing very hard on her as a human being. what she did demonstrates someone that's not thinking clearly, with regard to what happened last Thursday, and the whole idea, where the person says getting therapy may be a good idea, with regard to that. She, by all accounts, is a well-educated lady, and again, it's just sad that we're seeing this happen, and you mentioned before we went to break, or just after we went to break, you'd shared that another incident that happened, in the restroom on that day, and if you'd tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, apparently there was a mother there who went into the restroom to nurse her baby, and he was in there, and he said, "That's okay, come on in." And she's like, "No, thanks."
Wow.
So, you take into consideration, like, that's a place of privacy for more than just using the restroom. And and obviously breastfeeding your baby is a place where most people are going to try to get away and be in a private location. And even that space was stolen in that moment. But I do want to say about Senator Berg, we absolutely, our hearts break for what she went through, and that happened just a month before I was sworn into office, and it was a very, very hard session that we passed Senate Bill 150, and I think when you look broadly, if you take any amount of time to look into the trans ideology, it is such a destructive ideology, and no matter how much you push back and try to change something that is unchangeable, you will continue to be fighting against truth and reality, and you will never feel completely whole, because we know as believers, like, your true identity is in Christ. It is not in some made-up version of yourself that you think will heal brokenness. You cannot heal brokenness by going down a path that's contrary to what God has laid out for us. And those are things we can say in the Christian world, and it makes complete sense to us because we have a biblical foundation. But outside of that, it's, truth is just this subjective thing, and people think they can manipulate it to fit their needs, and it just doesn't work over time. It will continue to come back and cause destruction.
And besides the fact, it is in the Bible, it says that God created them male and female, two genders, that's it. Very clear about that, but just the science, says that too, that and they always the left always likes to scream, follow the science, follow the science. Well, okay, let's follow the science. XX
not that science.
Is female and XY is male, as far as chromosomes are concerned. I don't know how it can be more complicated than that. And yet that's what's happening. You, as a former missionary who served in the Dominican Republic, you one of the things that you did was bring clean water and hope to the communities in need there, and that's an incredibly powerful testimony. And obviously, we see turmoil right now, that's going on. And again, I'll say it, and I'll keep saying it. It's being manufactured by the left. That's the only card that they can play. And they're doing it, nationally, from burning down Tesla dealerships to attacking people on the street, trying to drag them out of their cars. It's just absolutely insanity. And with regard to your walk with the Lord, you're one of the most open and candid senators and really leaders in the Senate. You're not afraid to talk about. That's a powerful testimony. How does this experience, your Dominican Republic experience, how does that affect the way you lead, in the Senate?
Well, that's a good question. I think more than anything, it developed within me perspectives to look at things in a different way. We got to live through, when we were there the first few months, the Haiti earthquake hit, which completely shook our ministry goals. And we were I have so many stories about that time and how the Lord provided for us. We were just in the country 3 months, and that earthquake hit and just devastated most of Haiti and through the whole country, the whole island for a loop. But we, looking at perspectives of what people come from, and I want to make sure I can, as much as I can, look at the perspectives that people around me and people in my district come from. Our life stories are all very different, and I can't legislate just on the perspective that I have. I have to legislate on the perspectives of other people and how these laws are going to affect their lives. And of course, I always am going to look at it from a biblical foundation. I just am. I can't pull myself away from that. And it's funny, when I filed my first drag bill that first year, I had a constituent call me who, he wasn't actually a constituent. He had grown up in Kentucky, and he was kind of a part of that LGBTQ crowd and just so upset with me. And he said, I want you to please, we had a great conversation, talked about an hour. He said, I want you to please don't legislate from your faith. And I said, I cannot promise that. I won't do that. Like, that's how I see the world. How could you ask someone to pull that away from the way that they operate? Like, I have to, because at the foundation of what I believe is the truth, and I can't act like it's not a part of how my process of thinking. So anyway, that experience, it also taught me to be on my toes and be incredibly flexible.
Yeah,
when you live in a third world country, I had my fourth child there. We went through some crazy things people can't even imagine, but it was a beautiful time for our whole family, and things I'll never forget and try to take with me as I move forward in everything I do.
I don't know if you knew this or not, but we've obviously been talking a lot about Bill Wesley today, and I mentioned that he was a pastor. He actually has done a lot of mission work up to Alaska, but also Haiti, in which he actually got shot while he was in Haiti. Yeah, I don't know if he doesn't share that with a lot of people.
I did not know that.
He absolutely was shot there, and it's a wound that he carries, to this day, wow. And it's one that he's told me many times, that he'll take a bullet for the cause of Christ any day of the week. And he's like yourself, he's proven it. He's gone into all the world and has experienced the difficult side of the front line side of dealing with very difficult situations. And I guess that what you guys experienced over, in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, is nothing. It makes what you're doing a lot easier, believe it or not. That you've seen that side of it. And do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners? We just really quickly running out of time. These shows always seem to go too fast.
Oh, no. Thank you so much for having me on again. I always love being on your show. I would just say to everybody out there, continue being involved, continue being plugged in. And I know it's a time-consuming thing when you start trying to involve yourself in the political spectrum, but I will say it again and again, the government belongs to those who show up. And we've seen the result of good conservative believers not showing up over many, many years. And now's the time that we just have to be completely active and make this a part of your daily routine, that you're plugged in and in some way contributing to making our government operate for you.
Thank you very much, Senator Lindsey Tichenor. Again, it's been an honor to have you on the program today. Hopefully you'll come back soon and visit us. This is Absolutely. Bob Scott signing off. God bless you. God bless Kentucky. And God bless America. See you next time.
This is Kentuckiana's Voice, 970 WGTK Louisville. Online at kyvoice970.com. WKLB Manchester.
Bill O'Reilly here. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Coming up next, the news with Mike Slater.
Thank you, Bill. It is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. Here's what's happening today in America. Liberation Day. Le Pen banned. The same standard. And the torpedo bat. That's all coming up. Then Bill's going to be here with your message of the day. But first, Trump will announce his reciprocal tariffs on Wednesday, what he is calling Liberation Day. This will be the first Rose Garden event of his second term. Our press secretary said that the president will be announcing a tariff plan that will roll back the unfair trade practices that have been ripping off our country for decades. He's doing this in the best interest of the American worker. Surely the president will highlight the 50% tariff from the European Union on American dairy, the 300% tariff that Canada has on American butter and cheese, the 700% tariff from Japan on our rice, and 100% tariff from India on our agricultural products. Trump's point is reciprocal, right? You got a big tariff on us. Now we're going to put one on you. You want to lower your tariff? We'll lower ours. Hopefully they'll all go to zero. A Paris court found that the leader of the political party called National Rally, Marine Le Pen, will be ineligible to run for public office for 5 years. That includes the upcoming presidential race. She was found guilty of embezzlement of European Union funds. There's also a